Hello.
Hello.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Hopefully you, much like us, had nothing better to do. Well, apparently they do because there's 0 people in there watching right
Yeah,
now.
we're kind of losers.
Us and the several other people that were at the movie theater tonight.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, more people at Girl in the Spider's Web, I think, than Ralph Breaks the Internet. It's almost like families had better things to do at 9:50 at night than go see Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Yeah, I was surprised there were some families at this.
Ever
At
since
9:50?
there was a family that walked into the 10 p.m. screening on a Thursday night of Sherlock Gnomes, like, nothing surprises me. All right, since we are reviewing this tonight on Thanksgiving, and every year we always do a DVD sale over on our site and on the DVD site. So those links are right now over on our Twitter account, which is at the Cinema Snob. And if you go to walkawayentertainment.com from now through, I believe, Monday, all of our DVDs like Jesus Bro, the Snob compilations, the Snob movie, all the DVDs that we have out, all of them are only like $5 each from now. And we do this every year, and it's from now until Monday. So go check that out. That's at walkawayentertainment.com, and follow us on Twitter at the Cinema Snob. And so anyway, first movie we went to go see tonight, as we're slightly playing catch up, and then also saw one of the new releases tonight as well with Ralph Breaks the Internet. But the first thing that we saw was Girl in the Spider's Web, which at this point was only showing like one time a day. Otherwise, I probably would have gone and seen it yesterday, but it was playing at the same time that Overlord was. Like, well, I would rather see Overlord than Girl in the Spider's Web. But anyway, so tonight we were able to go see that. And it is the first one of these you've seen, right?
I haven't seen any of the other ones.
Which is why you were perfect to go see this movie.
The only reason I came to see this one was because
everyone else is celebrating Thanksgiving.
Everyone else has a life.
This is much less sad now than than before you started doing this with me, when this time of year it would just usually be me sitting by myself in the car talking about fences, like that happy movie.
That was the first movie we saw in theaters together, I think.
Oh, right, yeah.
No. Maybe.
No, I think it was
Sing.
Sing.
It was Sing.
Yeah.
That was the first one with me and you, just us two.
Right.
But the only reason I went to see this movie was because, for one thing, it was Thanksgiving. I mean, we did celebrate Thanksgiving in the afternoon, but I would have been kind of bored by myself. And also, I was like, I guess I'll see Ralph Breaks the Internet with you. That way you all have to be alone, and that way I'm
Hey guys,
not bored.
I'm talking about Ralph Breaks the Internet and Girl in the Spider's Web. Hi.
But also, like, it would have been like 9, it's like midnight right now. It would have been 9.
It's literally midnight screenings right now.
If I were to, like, stay home and by 9:50 I got out of bed, put makeup on, and then come out, I would have been I wouldn't want to come out.
What if it was for Hunter Killer?
No.
So, you know what? You could have stayed home because you could have watched any of the other movies in this series other than the one you saw. This is the first one of these movies that you've seen. Congratulations. Your first one is the fucking worst.
I know. Well, I'm going to just do what everyone doesn't do, and I'm just going to
start with the worst?
I'm going to start with the worst.
I'm going to start with the worst. That way it's really only uphill until then.
I really did want to see the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Oh yeah, the Swedish trilogy is great.
It.
Yeah, the original trilogy is great. The David Fincher one I really dig the fuck out of. This one feels so much like an obligation film. I don't know this for sure. I really, really don't. But for the majority of when I was sitting there watching this movie, when I wasn't bored, which was through the whole thing, and when I wasn't thanking God that this movie is under 2 hours, I was mostly thinking, why does this exist? Why is this happening? Everything about this movie feels like when the David Fincher one came out, I think the plan for that was there were going to be, much like with the original trilogy, there were going to be more movies, I think, with Daniel Craig, with Rooney Mara.
Yeah, you told me the history of this, and that's what it sounds like.
It certainly set it up as such, and I think it was even in pre-production for a little bit, but then along the way, it just didn't happen. And so watching this movie, I kept thinking like I'm watching some weird offshoot of like a franchise that sort of started with, meaning the American version, with the David Fincher one. And then in watching this, I'm like, why is this being made? Why is this happening? And something about it just feels like the kind of movie you make because you had to. Because maybe there was some... In order to retain the rights for this series, they just had to make this movie. I don't know this for sure. It just feels like this is the kind of movie you get when that's the case. You don't have Daniel Craig in this. David Fincher's not doing this. Rooney Mara's not in this. And so what we're left with is like what just feels like kind of a soulless, we're just making this because we have to movie. It doesn't feel like there's much ambition to it. It doesn't feel like there's much scope. What it feels like is like this bastard child of like Skyfall and Spectre. But also, if you were watching Atomic Blonde without the style.
I was thinking of Atomic Blonde while I was watching this.
And the style was like one of the only good things about Atomic Blonde. Yeah. So when you take that out of that movie, you're left with this movie. And I sat there going like, you know what? If you're going to show me a bad movie, just put on the Snowman.
I was thinking, I saw Atomic Blonde, but I didn't see the Snowman. Is it kind of like a mixture of those two?
This movie is, it's Atomic Blonde without the style carrying it. And it's also the Snowman if the Snowman wasn't hilarious.
So take all the good things about those movies and that's what you get.
It's just such an uninspired, uninteresting film. Everything about this is nothing when you compare it to the other ones. The plot is just some fucking plot about we've hacked into this government shit, now we gotta stop missiles. Alright, whatever, fine.
Yeah, you have probably a lot more to say about this movie than I do, because I really don't have anything to compare it to.
So what did you think, so since you don't have something to compare it to, what did you think of the acting in this movie? What did you think of the characters in this film?
I'm gonna get a lot of the names wrong because they're different names. So.
Lisbeth Salander, Mikhail Blomkvist.
Yeah, sorry. And also, another reason why I won't remember the names is because I didn't care.
Good. There you go.
I didn't really care. The plot, I get confused a lot during movies, but usually I get confused when I don't care. And in this, I really didn't care. Like, something about, like, government missiles or something. I don't know. Something about that's really secretive. I don't know. Something that everyone wants to get their hands on, something that has to do with the government, destructive stuff. I don't know.
There's some destructive shit going on in this movie.
And something like that. I don't really care. Claire Foy, who is basically Bianca
Queen from some of our movies. She was in Disco and Game Boys. She looks a lot like Bianca.
She looks a lot like Bianca. I thought her acting was really good, but you said this, and I kind of agree with you. Like, she was kind of flat, not a lot to work with.
I don't really put that on Claire Foy.
No, she was really good in First Man, and
she's a fantastic actress. In this, I put solely on the material because she is my least favorite of the three people I've seen play this part, and I don't know how much of that I can rest on her. It's just the fact that the other movies are written so well that they actually give this character. The other movies give this character more than one emotion. They actually give this character some depth. They actually give this character some range. it's a lot more three-dimensional than how it is in this movie. In this film, all they give Claire Foy is just really the same emotion to work with through the whole thing. The same tone of voice, the same reaction to things through the whole thing. It's a very two-dimensionally written character.
Kind of like Atomic Blonde.
Yeah, I mean, Charlize Theron had more to work with in that than Claire Foy does in here.
Well, it's the character of that Charlize Theron had to play. Like, she was just kind of one note. Not really much. She was just kind of flat.
I mean, at least
She
that
was
had...
badass,
yeah,
but, you know,
I mean...
so is this character.
At least that had some style to kind of mask that a little bit. But as much as Lisbeth Salander is, like, really just monotone and flat through this whole fucking thing with absolutely zero to work with, they still do her better in this than they do Bloomquist in this movie, who is nothing.
That was something else I was gonna bring up.
from Michael Nyquist to Daniel Craig to whoever it is in this movie. Whoa, have they written it to be such a fucking downgrade?
Yeah,
he didn't even have to be in this fucking movie.
Because I had to ask you, I was like, was that supposed to be the Daniel Craig character from the first one?
Yeah, and I'm like,
because he is so like a nothing character in this.
Right.
He's literally not even a person. He's just like a plank of wood.
Everything about this movie is just like similar, but bad. It's like it's shot like it's trying to, and it's a good director who's making this. It's the same guy who did Don't Breathe, but it's shot in a way that's clearly supposed to be kind of mimicking the David Fincher one. Even like the trailer was using like sort of a similar font that like the trailer did for the other ones, and it's trying to use similar cinematography in this. The opening credit sequence is, first of all, like, the Fincher one has one of the best teaser trailers I've ever seen in my life, and has a really, really fucking memorable opening credit sequence. Yeah. This one has an opening credit sequence where it's, like, sort of trying to ape that a little bit, but with...
Look kind of cheap.
But cheap, and with, like, generic movie score playing over it.
Yeah, I couldn't remember any of that, but when I think of, like, I haven't even seen the other one, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the remake.
You think of that cover of Immigrant Song? Yeah.
And that, I haven't even seen that movie, and I'm like, okay, I can, when I hear that song, I think of that movie.
Sure, yeah. You know? And God, and I enjoy how they make Lisbeth Salander just invincible in this film.
Yeah.
From the opening scene that starts out where she's a child and takes this wild dive off this balcony.
She like dives backwards too, doesn't she? She's
and then, the fact that she survived this, the fall for one, I'm like, I don't know where she went at, because they were in like fucking sub-zero temperatures where this happened, and then it goes on to her like fucking when she slow motion jumps in the bathtub when the
giant
apartment
explosion that causes like cars in the distance to have their alarms go off. It's like, the bathtub. Oh, okay.
Or she when she rides the motorcycle on the ice that's like kind of breaking. Like she's Vin Diesel in this movie.
That's kind of cool though.
But it's not written well. It's dumb, especially like, I mean, granted, I don't know. Maybe you were more fine with that than I was,
I don't have anything to compare it to.
And I do. Yeah. She's not fucking Triple X.
Well, that'd be kind of cool if she is. I want her to put on a fur coat and be like in that Xander Cage Triple X.
You say that, but that movie sucks.
I know, but I would like to see a woman do that. Just be like, put on a fur coat, like, fuck you.
Well, yeah.
Not really. I don't really want to see that. But that would be kind of interesting.
Sure. I mean, at least they would have given her...
This movie's supposed to be like
sure.
A
if they
film.
went full Xander Cage in this, maybe the movie would have had some semblance of a personality. It would have smelled like Axe body spray broy bullshit, but at least, hey, all right, well, there's some kind of personality here. It's not a personality I want to hang out with.
Speaking of, like, no personality, really, that one actor that's in this, I forget his name, from Sorry to Bother You.
Oh, Lakeith Stansfield
Yeah.
is in this. A great actor.
Yeah, he's a great actor.
A
And then Emma was
great
like,
fucking actor.
oh, that's that guy.
Yeah, he's in this.
What?
I don't know what the hell he's doing in this movie.
Sometimes it felt like they were shooting his scenes like on a separate day because sometimes he
Uh-huh.
barely shares screen time with anyone, really.
Why couldn't him and Blomquist has been the same character?
That would-
like
yeah.
just a quick rewrite. This probably could have happened. I don't know,
Well,
man.
this guy was American, and
I mean, you'd have to rewrite it, certainly, but they could fill the same role, probably. I like that since it's a Sony movie, whenever it's showing cameras in the film, it's really quick to show you that it's Sony cameras that they're
Yeah.
using. I mean, it's one of those movies where, like, hacking is just like an abracadabra magic trick.
yeah,
From, like, mere seconds, like, they can, like, really like I can't even break it down specifically. They can just hack about anything that they want in this movie.
yeah. She
which
does
would
it like just by a click of a button, like, ding, oh, done.
done. I control your car now. Like, I mean, which I would be fine with that if the movie was entertaining, but it's just not. It's like you're just watching this really kind of soulless obligation film. Why does this even... I don't know why this movie exists. I really, really don't. Like, now you have, like, the David Fincher one that sets up for, like, a series of movies in terms of the Fincher universe of this that just aren't happening, and I'm supposed to be fine with this, like, scraps that they're throwing me? Alright, yeah, no. Just take it away. I don't want this. Give me something else.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Made me want to watch the other ones, I guess.
They are better than this movie. And honestly, not that all of them are great. Like
I always wanted to see the other ones, anyways, but this made me want to see them even more.
the first one with Noomi Rapace is great. I really kind of love the Fincher one. The sequels that came after the original are fine. Like, they're not as good as the other two, but they're better than this movie. They're way fucking better than this goddamn movie. There's at least ambition and scope and like and shit like that. Like this should have gone direct to Netflix, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it deserved a theatrical release.
No.
Oh, that's the wrong one.
Ugh, what the fuck is that?
It was. I got mineral water from yesterday. We left it in the car.
It's like, put battery acid in this water.
Well, it's mineral water, and we left it in the car last night. So
Oh,
this is
so
a
it's
day
all
old.
so it's all
This
moldy.
is no, it wouldn't be moldy.
It's all moldy now. Oops. I'll just hang on to this because I'll drink your poison water.
Oh, damn it! I've been slowly poisoning him.
Yeah, it's
get
what I
his
have to cheat.
diamonds.
You're not getting my diamonds. I'll drink all your poison. You're not getting my diamonds. All right, so I guess my fight. I really didn't like this movie. Like, maybe wait for it to be on Netflix because that's where it fucking belongs. Watch any of the others over this one. So all right, we just got out of Wreck-It Ralph 2. Ralph Breaks the Internet. Now this one, did you see the first one?
Yeah, we've talked about this.
Oh, right, okay.
You never listen to me. Yes, dear.
Did you like the first one?
I liked it. I don't remember being like, oh, this is a great movie, but I remember thinking, I was like, oh, this was nice.
Yeah, it was a movie that I didn't like. I thought I was fine with it. I didn't go gaga over it like a lot of other people did. Like I grew up going to arcades. Video game characters can't just jump into other games. I'm kidding. The eye roll.
Because I knew where you were going. I knew you were joking.
I'm kidding.
Oh, okay. I know. I knew you were kidding. I know that look in your eye.
What look in my eye do I give?
You just like, I know, your voice kind of changes.
It does?
And then you also
Look.
kind of like,
It's very unrealistic. All
yeah,
right?
like that. That's the look you're doing right now. I know you well.
I grew up going to Aladdin's castle. Cubert can't just jump into Miss Pac-Man. It doesn't happen, no matter how many quarters you put in. Thank God I'm not that kind of reviewer.
You know, I know you pretty well.
Yeah,
right now.
you know me, all right.
Yeah, I guess.
No, I was fine with the first one. Like, I had my problems with it. Like, I didn't like the fact that halfway through it stopped being a Wreck-It Ralph movie and became a Sugar Rush movie.
Well, you didn't like the Sarah Silverman character.
Vanellope, she annoyed the shit out of me in the first movie.
What about in this one?
Well, she annoyed the shit out of me in the first movie, and then the movie just became about her through and through. Like, she became the main plot of that movie, and Ralph just kind of became a supporting character in his own film. Like, I sat there in the second half of the first one, like, can he please just hop into another video game, please? Like, we're really staying here? Okay, well, we're staying in Sugar Rush. This is a Sugar Rush movie now. This one, I also kind of have that problem with this movie, kind of, a little bit. I do, in the sense that, once again, Ralph is a supporting character in his own movie. It is, again, a Sugar Rush movie. It is, again, a Vanellope movie.
I think a lot of people, I could be wrong, they like the Vanellope character.
But it's called Wreck-It Ralph.
I know,
it's
but
called
this is
Wreck-It
a very much of a sequel type movie. This movie is a sequel.
But now we have two movies that are called Wreck-It Ralph, where his own movie gets taken over by another plot and another character.
I know, yeah, I agree, but it's all about the money, you know?
Then why call it... sure, but the movie, I think, would have made probably the same amount if the title character was the main character in the film. I mean, it's called Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet, and again, I'm watching a movie that's revolving around Sugar Rush and Vanellope. But, with that being said, she didn't annoy me nearly as much in this movie. I actually didn't find her annoying at all in the film. Like, her story with Ralph, I thought, was sweeter in this film than in the first one. I don't know if that maybe means they dialed back her character a little bit, or maybe I was just in a grumpier mood when I saw the first film.
Well,
But she seemed to me to be less annoying in this film.
The first one came out 6 years ago. That's what they're saying. Like, we've been friends for 6 years.
It couldn't have been 6 years.
That.
Maybe it was 6 years.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Really? Wow, damn.
I think so. I think it came out when I was just... I think I remember when that came out.
I guess because it wasn't a midnight screenings review when we reviewed it.
Well, that's what they kept on saying. Like, we were friends for 6 years.
Yeah, I guess so, because we started doing year-round midnight screenings in 2013, and when we reviewed this, we were reviewing it on the couch, so which means that we would have seen it before we started doing like this full time. I guess so.
Maybe you're just less of a grouch now, and that's why you like
I don't know. But I still was only kind of iffy about this movie. Like, I don't really know if I liked this one better than the first one or not. I might have to think on it a little bit.
This one, to me, felt like it's not going to age well at all.
There was no topical references in this.
Some things that annoyed me about this movie is, like, I feel like a lot of people that are older are gonna think that my generation or anyone younger than me is really annoying.
Go on.
That's it. Like, I don't know, just stuff that's like really like, YouTube videos, BuzzTube or something, and
they call it BuzzTube in this movie.
I don't know,
or he's
things
making
like that.
Meme videos.
Yeah.
Ralph and Vanellope have to go into the internet to get to eBay to get a steering wheel, which is gonna save her video game because the steering wheel on Sugar Rush breaks, so they're wandering around the internet. And yeah, there are certainly like a lot of topical references,
like a screaming goat, and it's like, in like 10 years from now, is this really gonna be something that, you know, that like a kid's gonna watch and be like, what was the screaming goat thing about?
I think it's kind of something like that is kind of unavoidable in a movie like this. Maybe, I mean, unless you make everything in it a parody of something that actually exists, and they don't really do that a lot here. Like, it's called in the movie, it's like, oh well, there's Amazon, there's IMDb, there's Star Wars, there's the Disney princesses, there's eBay. And yeah, a lot of the things you're talking about, yeah, they're kind of directly showing things that, yeah, it's gonna be dated in probably a hot minute.
Well, the first one, like, they did the arcade thing, and that arcades were more of a thing, like, you know, in the 80s, 90s, but it didn't date the movie.
No.
Whereas something like this, it's like they're doing the screaming goat thing, the hot pepper challenge, or something that is very, very topical.
Yeah.
That is definitely gonna date it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's easier to get away with, certainly, in a movie that's about arcade games than in something like this with it, where it's really not about arcade games, it's about going into the internet, and there's plots that heavily revolve around making memes and buying shit on eBay. No, I agree. There's a lot of things in this movie where it's gonna be, you're gonna look at it in the future and be like, what the hell was that? But the movie, I wasn't mad really when I was watching the movie, and I don't know how much I can chalk up to the fact that this movie is a better Emoji Movie or a not as bad Emoji Movie, because they both kind of do really, really similar things where they're going through different things in the internet and trying to get from point A to point B, and then going through places like YouTube, like eBay, and where it's like they make a world out of the internet being in a Wi-Fi machine, whereas in Emoji Movie it was inside a phone.
And they did some creative things with it.
It's a I mean, it's a better movie than the Emoji Movie is. It's more ambitious. It has more thought put into it. It feels less soulless, but at the same time, it is still doing a lot of, like, really just kind of bragging that they own a lot of this stuff.
I know. I told you this when we came out. I was like, I felt a little bit manipulated during all the Disney stuff, because they'd be like, oh, here's Star Wars, here's Disney princesses, and I'm like, you know, I do like all these things, and then they're just kind of referencing it, like, hey, this is a thing, remember? You know what this is? This is something you know. Like, it's like, oh, cool.
Yeah, it's a kind of thing that, again, and I saw a lot better in something like Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Exactly. Like, that is something that was really creative, and the way they did it here was just like, oh, like, remember this character? You know?
Yeah, and Roger Rabbit just made it feel like it was this living, breathing world where they all kind of exist
like
with
actors.
each other. Yeah, and they really, really made that work, whereas here, it really did feel kind of like you're bragging to me that you own Star Wars and that you own Marvel and that you own a lot of things like that.
Like, the Disney princesses were all around, and then CP3 will come in and be like,
yeah,
time to go back and do this thing, and then would leave. And it's like, oh, bye.
That was C-3PO, ladies and gentlemen. Right. It there was a
Wait, C-3PO?
Yeah, C-3PO.
Is that what I said?
I think.
Okay. I don't want to be
Did
like,
you say Dot Matrix? No. So, like, yeah, I was with that. I was like, hey, I mean, it does feel a bit cynical in a way, but just not as much as the Emoji Movie.
Yeah. I thought the animation looked pretty cool. Like, I like Gal Gadot's character looked kind of cool.
Yeah, it's funny seeing a character from a game like Sugar Rush going into something like Twisted Metal. I mean, there was some clever things there. Even with, like, the Disney princesses showing up, and, you know, you sit there going like, ooh, I recognize that princess, I recognize that one. Even with that being said, like, there were some clever gags that were thrown into that whole sequence.
The Disney princess.
Yeah, like one of, like, what's her name from Brave with the
Irish
using
accent.
the Scottish, using a thick accent, and
they're like, oh, we never know what she's saying anyway. She's from a different studio.
Yeah, one of them breaking out into song, telling her that all she needs to do is just stare into water.
That was I think Pocahontas was like, all you need to do is look into some magical water and start
and
singing.
Wabu is in the film.
I know. I like Nico.
Yeah. No, he's Wabu. He'll always be
Our name's
Wabu.
Wabu.
So yeah, Wabu is in the film. So I mean, there were some clever jokes thrown in there. My thing about the movie is, okay, I wasn't sitting there annoyed to the point where I was in the first one, and I got some issues with story and everything with it. My thing with it, I really didn't laugh that much in this movie.
No.
Like, and that's really, I wasn't sitting there mad or anything, or really all that annoyed. Even when I was like, okay, you're just showing me, but you're not really doing anything clever with showing me there's a building named IMDb. It's just a building named IMDb.
Yeah, I didn't laugh that much.
I just really didn't laugh that much.
There was one part when there was like this, I don't know, I guess kind of like a troll man baby was like, kind of like comic book guy from The Simpsons, and he shows up at like this the I Am Groot thing, and he was like,
that was Jason Mantzoukas.
That was Jason Mantzoukas.
It was, because as soon as he showed up, I was like, that looks a little like Jason Mantzoukas, and then he started talking. I'm like, that's exactly who that is. Like, yeah, that
like,
part was pretty funny.
Something like in that episode or something.
Yeah,
he was being like
that was
comic
funny.
book guy. That was
like,
funny.
Once in a while, it's lightly sprinkled with some clever gags that'll happen every now and then, but I went far between any kind of chuckle I got out of it. Things just weren't landing that well, but not in a way that was making me go, oh God, like not like that. It was just sort of like, well, this is a movie that's happening. It does do stuff that's funny whenever you see a movie like this where it starts getting into like the comments section, and it's always like the nicest bad comments you've ever seen. There's a part where it's showing Twitter, and it's just these happy Twitter birds going and singing in a tree. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. Twitter's that. Sure.
It's a happy place.
Yeah, sure it is.
It brings out the best in people.
Totally.
That's why I don't have one.
Hashtag lies.
They do have a good little, like, part, I guess, for kids that read comments on anything. They're like, oh, like, you're seeing all the bad comments. Just never look at comments because it brings out the worst in people. But
it's PG bad comments,
it's
though.
Like, oh, he's such a
loser.
Mean,
not that I expect this movie to have a comment to, like, call Ralph a cunt and threaten to rape him or something like that. Like, I would expect...
threaten to rape Ralph. Oh my God.
This movie is lies. It's dishonest. Like, kids
need to know at an early age.
I was enjoying like the PG bad comments, like, because Ralph is making these memes so he can raise money to get this steering wheel. So then he finds out what bad comments are, and one of them said like, Ralph is not the hero we need right now. I want that same comment on every trailer for a children's movie.
I want that to be like the meanest comment. Like, you come into me, like, you never do this anyways. You never show me comments, but I would love it if you just came in and you're like, someone said I'm not the hero they need right now.
Ugly dolls are not the heroes we need right now. One of them said like, Ralph's agony fuels my life or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, well, he's honest.
These
are hilarious. Honestly, those bad comments were the funniest part of the movie.
That was the nicest thing that someone has ever said about me. My agony fuels them.
Dumb.
But, I mean, I get it. Like, obviously, they're not going to say things. They're not going to threaten.
Don't get me wrong. It's just something like, working on the internet for as long as I have, it's just something I enjoy when I see a movie like this. I'm not expecting like, let's see, here's where Ralph went wrong. He didn't go into his withhold box or his spam box in the comments. Then, oh.
Oh God, poor Ralph. This movie got dark. Speaking of like creepy or weird the like weird Ralph monster thing, that was weird.
That was unsettling.
That was unsettling.
It's like looking at a monster created by ants. Like that is
There's,
there's
like-
something unsettling about this giant Ralph monster made of tiny little like virus Ralphs.
Yeah, and they're all like
Weird.
crying, and I was like, this is gonna give some 2-year-old nightmares.
Good. A return to kids movies where they give the kids nightmares. Again, another thing that Roger Rabbit did way better than this.
Yeah, that movie did kind of freak me out when I was a kid.
Oh, hell yeah.
With Judge Doom.
Uh-huh.
When he was like, I used to talk just like this. And
Eye
that was
swords.
freaky. Yeah, that was freaky.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, that was a different time. But yeah, that the weird giant thing made out of tiny little Ralphs is unsettling. And
That's gonna turn into a fetish.
no, it's not.
Oh, I had to watch SpongeBob SquareNuts. That thing's becoming a fetish. Trust me, that's my expertise. We were in a theater where they had a white plastic bag over one of the chairs, and now I know why.
I'm sure some fat guy just sat in it.
And jerked off. That also happened at the Emoji Movie. A guy got arrested for jerking off.
Oh, right. It's only because no one saw it. He thought it was a private place to go.
Or that's why a lot of people go on the internet. I wish I could have been in that theater.
No.
The guy jerking off. That would have been the only good thing to come out of that movie. Pun intended.
I was like, oh, good one, honey. I don't really know what else to say about this movie except for it was pretty forgettable. It's not gonna age well at all. Kids are gonna, like, 8-year-old, 9-year-old kids are gonna watch and be like, oh, I know that character. I know that app. That's about it. There's not many laughs.
I mean,
for me, at least. Maybe I'm just too old for it. I don't know.
Then I should not be at this movie.
Not, you know what like, maybe I just think, I don't know. I think there's some kids behind us.
Yeah, I mean, there were some kids in there.
They were, like, teenagers, and they were crying. I was like, really?
Is that what that sound?
Yeah. You hear that, like, during, like, the emotional scene, which was not that emotional, and they're like, and I was like,
I didn't come close to crying in this movie. I cried way more in the trailer for Dumbo that we got at the beginning of this than anything in this movie.
They were also kicking my chair. I think they just don't go out much, so.
Well, at least they're not at the Grinch. This movie was better than the Grinch. And it's good that they weren't at Girl in the Spider's Web. This movie was also better than that.
Yeah, I guess this is better than that.
It was better than Girl in the Spider's Web. This movie at least, like, I think they at least wanted to make this movie. If you love the first one, you'll probably really, really dig this one. I was only kind of iffy about the first one. It was fine, but it wasn't something I loved. That's really kind of how I feel about this one. I don't know which one I like, huh?
The first one's better.
Maybe I like the first one a little better than this one, but they're both movies I'm never going to return to, really.
No, I wouldn't return to this one at all.
Yeah, so anyway, that's my thoughts on that.
It's my 2 cents.
And that is my 2 cents. Anyway, tomorrow I'm going to be at Creed 2 and Robin Hood. So I got both of those movies tomorrow. So my week of several movies isn't over yet. But I'm excited for tomorrow because fuck yeah, Creed 2. So, alright guys. Thanks a bunch for watching. I hope everyone had a happy Thanksgiving. Follow us on Twitter at The Cinema Snob. We have links on there for we're doing a big DVD Black Friday sale. All of our DVDs are $5 from now to like Wednesday. So check out those links on Twitter. Also, you can go to walkawayentertainment.com and pick those up if you're interested. So, all right. Thanks a bunch, everyone.
See ya.
Take care.